Welcome to the Retail Reality Show.
Welcome everyone. Thanks for joining. We have an interesting 30 minutes ahead of us. Thank you, Sports Tech and also Sports Tech Nation for inviting me. I'm Nino Bergfeld, 11 years with Salesforce, and I lead the retail and consumer goods vertical in our chief customer organization. That means that's a long title. I work with many of our great retailers and brands in our beautiful Central European region. And before that, I led and run the go-to-market strategy for retail and consumer goods in Europe. Today, it's not about me. It's about a great guest. We have Christoph Dassler. He will introduce ourselves. Christoph, thank you for coming. And maybe a quick round of applause for Christoph.
Thank you. Thanks.
Christoph, what brings you to this beautiful event? Maybe can you quickly introduce yourself?
Yes. First of all, thank you for staging this event and inviting us as a young brand. I'm really happy to be here, share the story of the DSSLR. So I think we got connected through, let's say, a common friend who's advising DSSLR, our brand. And for us, these early days, it's great to be here and work towards brand heat. So everywhere where we share our story, it helps us growing in the right area with the right customers and the right audiences.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm here. And I really like the format fireside chat. And I think we will touch base anyways on a couple of interesting questions.
Yeah, I also love the fireside chat format a lot because you don't kill people with PowerPoints these days. You impress with stories. And you just mentioned brand heat. I think is a great topic we deep dive into. Before we do that, rapid fire, just to warm up. 5 quick questions. Performance or lifestyle?
Performance and style.
Oh, good question. Athlete or creator collaborations?
Creating stories with athletes.
I heard that when I looked at the history of Adidas and Puma.
Yeah.
It's all about athletes, but we also get to that in a second. 2030, sustainability or personalization? What's more important?
I think technology is working towards personalization anyway, so it's sustainability.
Okay. Favorite piece you ever designed for DSSLR?
The tailored skirt I saw this morning with the athlete here in the room that won the padel tournament yesterday.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Here in the last row.
We have to bring her also in our selfie after the session.
Yeah, I think it's the tailored skirt anyway. So unfortunately, I can't wear it. I can, but I will probably never.
Okay, last one. Please finish the sentence. A great sports brand is
authentically taking care of the needs of their, I would say, customers, athletes, and on the same time is taking care of being a sustainable producer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nowadays, yeah.
Great. Christoph, thank you. Before we deep dive into how it's like to build a brand in 2025 or a brand for the next decades, we touch and share some insights on digital storytelling. But before we do that, we shed light on you because you're from a famous family, and I think that has something to do with your plan ahead. You have been together with probably famous athletes, and that shaped you. Can you maybe share quickly, where do you come from? What has your childhood been like growing up in such a important, impressive, I would even say cultural element of the German history?
So I will share, but I just want to check ahead. I think I don't want to be reduced of being someone coming out of a famous family, but to some extent, it really helped me to be the person who I am today. So I grew up indeed with surrounded by great athletes. Sometimes I was 3, 4, 5, 6 years old boy. And at some point I realized, oh, something is cooking here or something is going on when Diego Maradona or Navratilova or Boris Becker was surrounded at the company or at our home. So I really got in touch with great products and great athletes as I was a very small child.
Mm-hmm.
And to some extent, I think till today, this helped me to be in love with sports, to be in love with products, to be in love with what I do today. So there are famous stories which I'm not sharing today because we do not have the time, but
Yeah.
And getting back to the first thing I said, I think this is one element that is in me, but the rest is like the passion for products and sports, which carried me through my life till today, where I ended up in producing sports apparel again. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, you just said it. It's all about athletes. That's also the core of two other famous brands. Yeah? Hopefully DSSLR, that will get to the same level, and that shaped you. And I think that's important to also understand the rest of your story that maybe lies ahead of you. When it comes to your career, from growing up in a sports world ecosystem to until today, what enabled you in your career up to this point where you started a new apparel brand?
That wasn't, to be honest, I think I learned quite a lot to do whatever I'm doing today. So I ended up, after my studying economics, I ended up in a consulting firm that was very strong in consulting, but also doing. They had a strong do-how component when it comes to below the line marketing activities. And they were, I think, one of the pioneers in Europe for customer relationship management. You might be quite familiar with that.
I know them.
Yeah. And in a nutshell, they were taking care of all the relevant marketing and service disciplines, from databases to predictive analytics to communication campaignings, and also to typical business process outsourcing. So across all touch points where consumers of retail sports, retail fashion, multi-channel retail brands, that's what they were focused on, these kind of clients need their support. So I did this with 90% of my heart, because as my parents were forced, I have to say it like this, to sell their shares of Puma, because my grandfather was the founder of Puma. I realized I want to get back in that field. So to some extent, I was always quite close to these firms, but just as a consultant.
Yeah.
So my plan was to get back on the field. So I think the things I learned in this decade helped me to connect the dots, how Steve Jobs said. And then I knew it made sense if I look at it backwards, right?
Okay.
So that helped me a lot to organize the company Dossler, and to know which disciplines, which skills, which people have to be surrounded by me.
Yeah. So it's about your passion for sports, but it's also the structure you acquired, like you said, managing a complex, not just customer journey, but also supply chain, or the whole value creation in such a company, and obviously a great product. But we will get to that in a second.
Yeah, maybe it's just briefly, I briefly touch base on that one, because as I made the decision, like after 35 business plans later,
35, well.
yeah, something like that. I already met my wife 16 years ago, and I had a couple of plans in the cupboard.
Yeah.
I think my professional, the things I did after studying, helped me to identify the people I work with today. So overnight, I found a brilliant designer who was taking care of Stella McCartney and Adidas Tennis. She was one of the Adidas Tennis lead designers, taking care of Kaba, Zverev. So I knew if I want to start, it's not only marketing, sales, and service skills you need someone really, really highly skilled and motivated, on fire out of that industry.
Phoebe, right?
Phoebe, right? Phoebe's her name. And also Nenad came into my life. Nenad was the former corporate identity, corporate design guy behind on running the logo, the corporate design and corporate identity. So he also jumped on that and helped me to shape the logo, the visual identity, which is really important for us as we are catering for, let's say, a top premium audience. So I think this is also part of the story. So I think what I learned before helped me to combine all the relevant bits and pieces for DSSLR.
Yeah. Important also for you guys, if you want to fund a apparel brand, important ingredients, that's your playbook.
Yeah, and think about it, it's a very complex business. I think it's one of the complexest businesses you can tap in.
From my perspective, in my daily life, but also in our podcast, we focus a lot on what do consumers value and want. And maybe if you start from there, not from the great product, but from the other side, what do consumers want in 2025 and beyond? Is it sustainability? We heard that a lot. Is it performance? Is it scarcity in a loyalty world? What do you think is important?
I think it depends. like which kind of consumer muses you're addressing, and there are big consulting firms that have probably a couple of answers to them. But I think our customers or our consumers really admire, or not admire, really like performance brand full of design and aesthetic in a true limited version, so scarcity, and also become more sustainable as others. Don't oversell with that point sustainability, but be careful what you say and what you do. So that's why we think it's performance with design in a highly sustainable framework. Yeah.
And when we look at the category, at some point you took the decision, maybe in the ecosystem of tennis, racket, pickleball. You just also mentioned your player won the tournament. What made you zoom in on this category and say, hey, this is our first one? Probably it's maybe not the only one. If you look at the big ones like On or Adidas, they also grew by category. But you start with tennis. Maybe just give us your download. What made you focus on that?
So I think first of all, you have to be in love with the things you do. So I personally love the sports, tennis, but also love racket sports. I'm a fan of padel and pickle as well. So I think I have a high cultural interest in these kind of sports. Secondly, the market, like if the logic answer, if you just look into the market, you saw after Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic, there's a really strong, powerful next category of team on the global stage of tennis and the global tennis arena. Media coverage is tremendously high. That's an indication for tap into that field. The third one is you saw all these big, massive fashion brands like Prada, Miu Miu, all these, let's say, fashion global giants trying to enter the arena. So I think it's, generally speaking, it's a good global momentum. And the killer argument for myself or for us is to do this is we've figured out that there's missing something, a pure player that comes from sports and adds performance apparel in a highly, let's say, designful, fashionable, but also sustainable way with a true unfair advantage, which is our family story. So because this is actually why we think that tennis and all the racket sports are a good field to tap in. By the way, I think most of you know, I think padel is one of the most or fastest growing sports ever. And what padel is in Europe is pickle in the States. So this is also interesting for us to start with tennis and padel in Europe and maybe grow and internationalize with pickle. So the racket sports disciplines are highly attractive to us.
Okay. I'm actually a really bad racket player and pickle player. So I hope you can also teach me some of that in the future. Actually, I'm quite good at squash. But
then you're good at padel and pickle also, I think. Yeah.
If you're coming from a tennis background, I think you will always have this advantage, which outplays me. I'm fast runner, but sometimes it's not enough. If you have bad technique, I can run fast. You just mentioned a little bit and you touched a little bit on it. And also yesterday it was a big topic during our store tour. Community. If you found a company, apparel company, and if you also look at the big companies that are out there, they're all going and gravitating towards building a community. It's not just the brand and the products, it's the players, the athletes, but also the consumers around it. And if you look at Panama Studios as a cycling brand, or Rafa was the original gangster, I would say. What role does community play in the DSSLR brands?
We launched 11 or 12 weeks ago, so we are a very young child in the DACH market region. First of all, I would say the most important thing is product, and the second is product, and the third is also product. So product. I'm 100% sure that this is correct. And then with a great product and an authentic approach, I think you have to tap into the different communities and be culturally relevant and interested. No fast in, fast out. So I think I would say it's product, and then try to find the right communities you tap in and you address them with the relevant stories. But in the end, I think our chance is not having billions like the big brands you name, but we can be authentic, and we can hopefully convince players with great products and be part of their journey of winning and losing in style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One question, I mean, you just said it, the most important thing, I get it, you're a young company, product is your most important thing, that's your DNA. But at the same time, you have to tell this DNA to others.
Yes.
Switching and zooming in a little or out of product into more, how do you amplify that? How do you tell a story?
Yeah.
How does that work in 2025 and beyond? Leveraging channels like TikTok, Instagram, also looking at physical channels. You mentioned you just opened your first store or you moved into a store. Just give us your download. How does storytelling work in these days? And not only digital, but also digital channels.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's all about brand heat and the channels you play in. So for us, it's really important to be an analog brand as well, but also a digital brand. Of course, we started with Instagram. So you'll find us a DSSLR official. You can see the very first steps of our brand, where we try to do both, and like on the one side, tell a true and authentic story about the brand, about the founder, behind the scenes. What can you learn from us when we are shaping a product? And on the other side, we try to tap into the first commercial steps, where we try to highlight some functions of our products. I wouldn't say we try to sell, but we try to tell our story. And so we cannot afford not to be on Instagram, but we definitely, as a top premium or sport luxury brand, we have to take place in physical and retail and wholesale environments. That's why it's also important for us to be on stages like this, but also important to go into shop and shop formats. That's why we entered in Switzerland in a great multi-brand store in Zug. We also won our first ATP Challenger tournament, where we support the umpires and all the officials with a special collection. I think these kind of things you have to do and tell the story and share the story. In the B2B environment, events like this are important, but also I think the LinkedIn channel. But at the moment, we're still very manual and not in an automated way, because it's so fresh. So we are investing a lot of time in the quality of pictures, in the tonality of what we write and what we share. And I think once we grow, we have to definitely automate it to some extent. That makes sense.
Absolutely. And I think that's at least where I work with my clients, automating, where they have global e-com or global omni-channel businesses where AI can help you massively to bring down costs on the one hand, but also creating new experiences. AI assistants in the future that might be a customer front office on your website, on your mobile app, that curates, tell the story of your brand. Or what do you think which role will AI play in founding a brand in these days?
Yeah. So to be honest, I think you have to tell my brand. This is you have to come into DSLR. I hope we can afford one day that you can share to me and to the team, because I'm personally a fan of, and I think we should definitely be more automated and use more artificial intelligence as we launched the brand. So I think, to be honest, you can tell me probably what kind of elements you see, or if you were in my shoes now, as we just have a solid foundation of pictures and content, what could we do to use it a bit more?
I mean, from my perspective, if you look at a funnel, on the very top, I think a lot of things are in flux at the moment with ChatGPT, Perplexity, and all those, let's say, answering machines or large language model powered chats. They will steal a little bit of the top of the funnel, where it was all about influencer marketing, advertising, building a brand on the walled gardens like Meta, Google, Facebook, and so on. And you will see more of consumers asking questions around, hey, I need a tennis gear, premium, I want to look good for my pickleball match. And then obviously you as a young brand, you wanna show up. And if you translate that back to what you have to do, you have to structure your content differently. You need to provide context to those LLMs. You need to think about what could be questions that the consumers are asking about my brand, and how do I tell and carve out the unique pieces that shape DSSLR as a brand. How do you tell that in AI? So they have the answer from a brand perspective. And then I would say it's more legwork in the future, where if you have an e-com portal where consumers can shop,
Mm-hmm.
you have to integrate that with the platforms. That probably will come out of the box, hopefully in the future. But right now, all the platform providers laying the groundwork. They create integrations, agentic commerce protocol. You can just forget it again, but this is a technology, an interface that OpenAI put forward, and you will see many more where commerce integrates with those platforms, and then you move down the funnel. It's not just about influencing the purchase decision, but also taking the actual decision and buying on behalf of you in that shop. So in the future, you at least a certain proportion of transactions will go through those platforms where you get inspiration, and the transaction will also happen, and the conversion in ChatGPT and co. And in you as a brand, you get the instruction, send this parcel to Nino, and because he just ordered it via ChatGPT or Perplexity. But I can go on and on about that. I think that's important, and I see a lot of value for companies like yourself in building those experiences, but also getting really efficient and running a e-commerce operation, for example, in a much more efficient way with less people.
Okay, but this is live, so we probably get 2 more minutes, Yael. When I just because I look at it 6 minutes, but this my question would be, but maybe it also for the audience it's interesting. Could that mean also that we know what kind of search sentences in these platforms are? Like for us, it would be interesting, that we have antibacterial stuff on a finishing. We have sun protection.
Mm-hmm.
We have all these kind of things added to our performance things. So if we knew that ChatGPT people are searching for that, you would anticipate this and have AI generated pictures on our website, which will then feed the algorithm so that we are ranked higher. Is that the answer?
That can be. Right now everything
makes sense what they tell me in the company. Okay.
Yeah, if you look at the Google also built their business on search, and they added all those tools that enable you to make a better bidding and spend your budget more wisely on SEA, search engine advertising. You need to understand what are consumers asking. My anticipation would be they do the same, and you can already see it. I saw, not sure if there was a hoax yesterday on X. I saw that in the new beta application of ChatGPT, there's already some API calls which had some ads in it. So probably this will become sooner than later reality. But then in return, those platforms also need to provide insights. What are consumers doing? What are they looking for? And then you can make sure you're showing up there and structure your content in the right way, but also invest your marketing dollars in those platforms more wisely. I think we are getting closer to the end. What would you say if you have to write it down? Not this 36th business plan, but maybe just an extension after you have started the business, after you made the first step. What is how does the future of a sports brand look like in these days? If you have to draw a conclusion or a summary.
In any case, for us, it is to be a authentic and successful multi-channel brand, a multi-channel brand in terms of sales, but also communication and culturally. So we definitely will be in wholesale situations, in retail situations, but also in a direct-to-consumer environment, but also in smart B2B to C events, like with the corporations. I think this is one field of the future. When it comes to, we are currently working with an owner-operated production partner who is B Corp certified. I think this is our first contribution of making the world sort of a better place, but we also tapped into a collaboration with a German brand that is working on the elimination of the fossil dependency of garments. And we try to, hopefully next year at this event, show a potential answer of the future of sports performance apparel in a full circular garment environment. I think so. Really being making the effort, pushing limits to become transparent, to decide against just money, to also be be sustainable, and in a comprehensive way think about everything. And then, of course, I think it comes without saying that it's logic that we have to click the boxes, being digital, invest in the AI, don't lose track of communication and personalization streams. And finally, for us as a sports brand, it's the product again. And I will end up in hopefully creating products that convince the audiences which is made for, that people love to play in it, but also on the other side, because we have two elements as a sports brand, we also have an off-court environment. So it's in tennis-inspired fashion, I would say, that people love to wear our products also off the court, because it has sort of the appeal of being nice. So I think that's in a nutshell. I think it's sort of a summary of the chat which we had. You can add something if
nice. No, I mean, I would have added digital if you wouldn't have said it in AI, but you mentioned it. And also I'm a true believer of circularity. B Corp, I think, is a great concept. I read Let My People Surf. So if you haven't read the book, really good. Founder of Patagonia, they built that. A friend of mine is working at B Corp, and I have quite good insights in this very structured, very deep certification process. So I think it's absolutely the right thing, because it's all about how do you produce less stuff, how do you repair stuff, how you do. I think it's just a no-brainer if you found a brand these days that this is founded on such a strong player like B Corp.
And maybe just to one really, really important thing, I think, for any brand is, because you had this point, community versus product. I think it's product in the right community. And I think, to what I see so far, probably the brands have to be really connected with their audiences, and so I think it's the next level of community is probably the things you have to anticipate as a sports brand or as a fashion brand, probably as well, if you're not just distributing.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to my first DSSLR purchase, and I will wear that in my probably next pickleball or even, I don't know, tennis match.
Yeah, cool.
Christoph, thank you. And also thank you to Dennis, who made that possible, that we have this chat. And thank you everyone for being here. Thank you, Viel, for inviting me. And have a great rest of ISPO. Thank you, Christoph.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks.